That's wonderful.
And I feel like I care enough about a place to want to contribute.
Oh, what have you got?
So I was taking notes and then.
I'll show you what I don't like.
Yeah, and then she goes like,
Because it was.
so no, it's okay, it's more like, I don't wanna take it up to your level. We gotta
Like old mates that are in order to
Thanks, Robin. I'm gonna take.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. Yeah, I'm gonna see Jason in like an hour, so yeah, it's great.
Good job, very interesting, very exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I know, it's always like, yay, let's do all this. It's like, oh, okay, let's actually tackle this one, but it's a challenge.
Just like what we're talking about.
And I realize we don't have on our work plan.
What we're doing.
I know.
Right here.
right here, today. How long you been on Bowen?
About 15.
Because that's gonna take some more. Exactly, that needs to be sorted out, yeah, the grants are kind
I was part of
of
the
difference as to how that is happening. So it's a subset, but it's parallel and separate and, yeah, it's more. It was Spanish, it seemed like big half, it was like 12
Because
years.
I've come out to,
Yeah, which it seems to consistently be.
or at least have. It's, you know, like I feel like Bowen's part of the community.
Yeah.
And I hadn't.
So, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it's a big reason why I wanted to come today, so, you know, like, I've been here for a while, I want to keep on being here, but I want to know, like, you know, what's going on in the island, what are we striving for, and I was there at Edward's presentation and stuff too, so like,
Yeah.
see how it's going, just how simple it is great.
Yeah, so do you there?
This is,
So it's more of a, you need
It's a
to
pretty
figure
good
those
way to
need to happen, it is a subset of that,
It's very.
but it doesn't
Without
really
reading
need that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
And we still won't know, like, you know, the nuances. I was really stuff like how, or you just like, you know, more, they wanted more. Research, wouldn't be that.
Right.
Well, no, I was here, but
Yeah.
Friday is really hard to figure stuff, right? It's not like.
Sitting is not good.
If I.
Just probably go high school later, you know, there's no one can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Someone doesn't agree, I agree.
Not even.
The list of big lists and then those two.
Yeah, that's fine, and then what I'll do is when you send that, I'll probably go, if that's okay. Just send it to me, and then I'll go over my make sure it's all, you know, and nothing really. We have Sam's and all that stuff, and everything, just, thank you so much.
Yes, I'm in charge of the group, yes, that's right, yeah, and I do sit on the EDC, but I can't take 4 hours out of my work day. I work at, I live in Civic School, which is laughing about. My day is really tied to the school day, so, yeah. I'm the attendee person.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're really first. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Carry on.
For the first time ever, this year we have a full house, which is 72 kids, we're grade 18 per grade.
I think that's neat.
We're all
I just don't wanna forget about it.
Yeah, we did, I mean,
Because that was a good start.
kids
That
seem
was
to
a
be
very
moving right now.
It's
So-
very good, and I want feedback on that, I actually think we should bring that up in the business.
Are you joining the EDC?
I'm applying to join the EDC. I would love to join the EDC. Yeah, you know, I think I'm, you know, a bit of an interesting demographic, like kind of new to Bowen. You don't have kids or dog type of thing. But you know, there's a
So
lot of
I
people
think
like
we're gonna
me.
get started on the official meeting, so have a seat. Thanks.
Kirsten, thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yes, thanks for your input.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it and hope
Are
to.
we neighbours? You live on Lenora?
I live Blue Water.
Oh, okay. It's a different case.
I live in Blue Water as well. Hello, neighbor.
Oh, very good. Yeah, so when we talk about, a land use plan that includes a bit more development on, various other parts of the island, yeah, my ears perk up a little bit,
Cool.
for sure. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, welcome everybody. It's going to be a short meeting, half an hour or so. And so first of all, this is to approve the agenda. Basically, pretty simple. We're going to keep it short. We've got scheduled elections, public comments, and review the action items and business arising from the last minutes. So we'll keep it as brief as we can. The updates, I think we'll keep them pretty short. After 3 hours, I don't think we have.
Thank you.
Let's-
Is anybody calling?
No,
Sorry.
let's not even do that. I don't think we are.
I don't think it's our decision. Wendy from the region, she's asked me to call.
No, okay.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll
But we're not holding a long meeting, so,
Still appreciate that.
yeah, okay. Good, okay, so everyone approve the agenda?
I move.
Yeah. Everyone knows? Adoption of the minutes of the last meeting? I wasn't here, so. So we'd like to propose that we adopt the minutes.
I know, that's what happens.
Second.
Second, everybody in favour? Okay, all right. Schedule and elections. So I guess the schedule is kind of in abeyance now.
Okay,
Robin,
the
because
phone's
of-
not working, so I'm gonna take John's lead unless you want me to proceed with the phone. And tell her we're not calling.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll come, the schedule, Robin, I guess we've done that in our strategic thing, and it'll come back again in future meetings. So
Sorry,
we
I'm
can-
a few different things at the same time. So, my proposal is that at the next meeting,
Yeah,
we bring back this, which Steph's gonna take notes. I'm gonna review them, and then we'll kind of look at it first thing
Yeah.
and do a little more work to refine the work plan.
okay,
Does that work?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so election of chair and vice chair. So I've been on the committee now for 3 years, and I've been chair or co-chair for 2 years, and I've decided to not seek my appointment is up this month, and I guess most of you know I've decided not to seek another appointment, mostly for personal reasons. I've got a young family, I've got a business that's very demanding at the moment, and so I feel very confident there are people on the committee who could do a better job than me, with my limitations of time. So I've decided to stand down, so the chair is vacant. I think Ed has agreed to stand for vice chair again. He's existing vice chair, and I believe Rod, I'm okay in saying this, that Rod is prepared to stand as chair of the EDC.
With the caveat that if anyone else has any inclination that they would like to chair the EDC,
Even the slightest.
that you speak up.
No, I'm
Yes.
good, thanks.
Having crickets?
Oh, you spoke up.
I only need
Robin,
you're the
you've done
chair.
such a fantastic
Yeah.
job, and you're riding
Yeah.
a high right now.
I already chair a committee.
Yeah, I know.
And a whole bunch of other stuff, so I'm very happy to support in my
Yes.
facilitation skills, and I'm excited to be part of the engagement
Okay.
subcommittee
Yeah.
working group, whatever that is.
Okay.
And that's where I'd like to put my energy.
Before we vote on this, I need to share the fact that probably between now and May, I'm going to have very limited time to do anything. I'll be traveling, so I may not be at all the meetings, so take that into consideration when you're voting. But I would gladly take the vice chair responsibilities.
Great.
I'm happy to be vice chair. Or you can get some support.
You can be co.
No.
It really doesn't need to be official.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be
okay,
official.
that's
But I
just-
think we're all happy to support you
Okay.
while Ed's not
Is there
available.
anything you want to say? Do you want to campaign? You're going to build a wall and make...
Do you have any
Yeah,
posters?
and pay for
Build
it?
a wall.
You're gonna build a wall.
Will only be the sum of all of our parts.
Right. Okay. Yes,
Will be more than the sum.
Will be more than the
Yeah.
sum, will be more than the sum of all of our parts. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rod, and so Rod is proposed as chair. All those in favour of supporting Rod? Well done, Rod, you're officially appointed.
Woohoo, thank you.
And as vice chair, Ed, well known to us all. Do you want to say anything, Ed?
No,
Do you want to campaign?
no.
Okay. Ed is, everyone in favour of that? Okay, great, thank you very much. I just want to say thank you for your support in the past 3 years. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping to stay involved in some way or other, even if it's only drinking beer with Ed in the pub and pontificating about what should be done.
Yes.
No, I hope that when things cool down a little bit, I'll be able to, do some more active work. And thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've made some good friends. Thank you.
Good work.
Public comments. I see there's a gentleman here. We don't usually have an audience, so would you like to introduce yourself and?
Oh, okay, hi. My name is Fred Wagner.
Yeah.
I was talking to Sept, or I guess in emails,
Yeah.
inquiring about my interest in possibly participating in this committee, and I've indicated that I have an interest, and
Cool.
thought I'd come by and just
And
see how things happen.
Okay,
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit afterwards, or Rod can talk to you a little bit afterwards about the kind of things we do,
Sure.
and hope you decide. Yeah, it'd be great.
And may I importantly point out, which we brought up earlier, is that it looks like we're probably gonna have a few working groups or subcommittees. So even if the applicants aren't selected to be on the official committee, there's still very much an opportunity to participate. If you're excited about one something, that you can come and participate, so that would be very welcome.
it's like a quicksand trap.
I understand.
A working group, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on the committee. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
It's the Hotel California.
Yeah,
We
Okay.
skipped the schedule part.
No, we didn't. We jumped ahead to it.
And public comments, yeah, sorry, that was.
Oh, meeting schedule is what you're talking about.
Oh, meeting.
It's one of our,
I thought you were talking about the work plan.
no, we just
No.
generally in the January meeting.
3.3.
Decide
Yeah.
what,
Okay.
did Friday still work for you?
Friday still work.
Still
And what are
okay
we, the
with-
first or second Friday?
I think it was the second.
Yeah.
Today.
We
Yeah,
shifted around.
second Friday. I have a housing one on the first Friday,
Okay,
right? So this, yeah.
I think it seems to work.
Well, Rod's the new chair, so.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Rob.
Well, it's actually got his calendar out.
I'm
now.
looking,
As
I'm looking at the
requested.
calendar, okay, yeah, just let me quickly go through the second Fridays. So that'd be February 8th, March 8th, April 12th, May 10th, June 14th, July 12th,
Nothing in August I have,
nothing in August,
generally.
September 13th, October 11th, November, they're all clear, like they're not holidays or,
Okay.
main times, I
November,
don't think.
is not,
November 8th.
So, right now we're the second the second Friday. So
Second
we're gonna
Friday.
maintain that?
I think so, I think we should.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
And the only brief thing is I will have to miss next month because I'm away on holidays. So anyways, but we can talk about that. I know, sorry.
Holidays. Holidays.
Really? Well, it's Halifax in February, I don't know
Oh!
how much. Sorry, derailing the meeting here.
Okay, no public comments then? Action items?
Sorry, yeah, we're all good on that schedule, I'm just gonna get rid of all this.
Do we need to resolve that?
Yeah, all
So
in
we need to
favor of
remove all in
second Friday?
favor, second
Yeah.
Friday, okay.
Action items?
Page 9.
I think I did this. Did you guys receive my email about the FAQs? Including discussion of success measurement on the annual business summit discussion. That would be part of the business engagement.
I'm gonna say, let's just say ongoing.
Ongoing?
And we should make another meeting for that
We-
engagement group business.
Yeah, okay. Like and share by local posts on social media.
I
did
it.
Yay!
I did it. After I found it.
Engage with the BIM Facebook page to ensure the material is posted there, set to your personal feed. So that's,
Yeah.
I did and ongoing. Continue. Wendy, send the names of other BC communities engaging in bi-level initiatives. I think she just sent me that yesterday, and I wouldn't have gotten it to you guys yet, unless you received it. She's
No.
received you. Okay, so I will forward that. Send notes from the 2016 strategic planning session. That was in December. Yes. Received that. Invite community economic development representative from SFU, that's Wendy. I will follow up on that with her. Share information regarding tech dev workshops with staff. She sent us information. I will follow up with her on that.
Just one question about that. So I think if I just sort of skimmed something that you had forwarded that she had sent,
Yes.
and it said that they were, the province is going to be organizing that in February, which means that they're not doing the meetings in February, but they're scheduling meetings.
And we need to discuss it, yeah. So I sent that because the people who are participating would be members of the committee, members of the business community, and members of council.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent it to Hope, who you just
Right,
met.
yes, right.
Saying, does council want to discuss this? And she said, well, why doesn't the EDC discuss it? And then send it to council as a proposal.
So do we need to discuss that now so that we can be on their list? in
I don't have it
February?
as part of this agenda just because of the
No.
day that we're having,
Yeah.
but if you'd like to just to talk about it today, then that would be surprised.
Well,
it's suggestive we can put it till next time we do that.
I don't, because they said in February, we're meeting in February.
This is the
We'll meet on
business
February.
summit, or the,
This is the
This
tech
is
dev
it,
workshops.
basically, I think what we need to do is put our hand up and say, yes, we will organize, a wide range of community members to come to a workshop. And if we say that, then they'll say, okay, we'll put you on the list of communities that will,
Okay,
I think that's the impression.
so make a resolution and send that to council?
Yeah, I
Thereby?
think we don't necessarily have to do it today, we just have to make a resolution that we would like to do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
Where does that
or
make sense?
does staff just need to does staff need to let Wendy know?
Yeah,
That we're asking.
I think so.
That
I
we
think
will-
that we recommend that the municipality, that staff puts our hand up and says, yes, we would like one.
And so we're signing up to host a workshop of some kind with their, okay.
okay, we've done that before, it's
Yeah.
easy to.
Yeah.
So the question from council would be, what kind of commitment is that and how much money would it cost?
Right,
Yeah.
and then we need to turn that back to the province, I guess.
So shall we say express our interest in hosting one of these and get more information?
Yeah.
How's that? Okay.
express interest in hosting the tech dev workshops being provided by the province.
And get more information on details of cost and commitment.
And
Is
just
there- I
one,
thought they were offering them for free.
I think they're free,
Yeah.
and I think all we have to, the municipality or
Someone.
the host is responsible for a space and for snacks or something.
Well, we could take that out of the EBC budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what-
And my comment to that all is this is all about community engagement, and having read the little snip that I read, it basically said, what the province expects is that you get council,
Thanks, Asha.
that
Thank
you get, representatives from, for instance, native organizations, from not-for-profits, from, so they're like saying, bring a wide group of the community out. I mean, so I think that is totally in what we've been talking about.
So I think we can just express interest in doing it.
All in favor?
Okay, thanks, that's action on items. Next is business arising from the minutes. Newcomer.
Hold on, there's more, there's still actionable resolutions, right?
Okay, so that's the, resolve to recognize Maria Atherton at the business summit, so that's, we can't do
Except
that yet.
these are already decided on, there's nothing.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
there's
These
action.
resolutions versus
Right.
action, I guess.
it's stuff that,
So then this is the second action resolution is what's happening today, we're doing it,
Yeah.
done it.
Done?
And staff and council follow up on the rule
I'm
review,
sure
that's
we're all
done.
on that, yeah. Okay, so business arising from the minutes, the Newcomer guy, Councillor Nicholson.
It looks as though from the minutes that this was discussed at the last meeting and that.
We kept it
I'm
brief.
sorry, I can't hear you.
Did you defer?
We kept it brief because you weren't there,
Right, okay.
it wasn't approved.
So I mentioned to Robin that should probably be added into our work plan for the coming year. I would like to strike the recommendation though, because at this point we don't have a confirmed budget, so we can't simply allocate X amount of dollars to the Newcomer guide.
Do you want it to be in the work plan?
I want it to be
The
in the work
update?
plan.
Okay, I think that's
please.
that's a low hanging fruit, easy to
Yeah.
accomplish, you know.
And we've got in the minutes from the December meeting that there was general agreement to spend $1,000, but to actually have it in a formal resolution without an approved budget is not on. Council would not accept it.
Okay.
So it'll be an easy update.
So the information about that would be, the updates would come from notes that you've taken from social media over the last couple of years?
Yeah, and what we had talked about, Heather Pretty and Chris and I had talked about was convening a meeting, just an informal meeting, and inviting people to come rather than just relying on the Facebook stuff. The last edition of the Newcomer Guide is going to be at least 2 years old now. So there are just some factual updates, website addresses that have changed, things like that. And there's one point that is a straight correction, and there may be some other things. So we'd probably, process would be convene a meeting, invite some people, see what they say, and Heather Pretty, who did the writing initially, would do the work. Rethink has already expressed its interest in taking it on for a redesign, so they want to use the municipal brand for the guide, and they will do that again free of charge.
Okay, thank you. The business summit is now scheduled for February the 26th. Do we want, let's have an update on that. Have we got a venue yet? Let's have the Legion.
Yeah, so the Legion's been confirmed. Speakers, I was asked not to schedule a speaker yet because we didn't have a budget yet by the CAO. I do feel like we should move on that. What's the plan here?
How do we get, so we don't have a budget for it?
We don't have a budget at all yet, that's been,
No one has a budget yet.
yeah, it hasn't been approved.
it just hasn't been approved, right?
So how can we?
We haven't made a request.
Well, when is that
But
when is it likely to be approved?
Or what?
We haven't made a request.
Mm-hmm. So if we made a
That's the work
request,
plan,
yeah.
and then it becomes the thing, and
Like, how long would that take? It could be after the summit until the budget was approved.
Yeah.
It would be, so I think the way to handle it is to talk with Kathy and Raj
Yeah,
and say that we have a scheduled event
yeah,
and it's getting just too close,
yeah,
and what would they recommend we do?
okay.
But when that takes place, we should be able to say it's gonna cost X for the lodge, it's gonna cost X. And we've done it twice before, so we roughly know how much.
Yeah, I was gonna
it
say
would
there's
be.
gotta be a precedent, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because
I think it was just a flexi time when I talked to her about it. It was very much the elections had just been, that was before Christmas. And there were a lot of changeover happening within this committee. So I can go back with a stronger backbone, I think, on this.
Well, it's 5 weeks away.
It is. Pardon?
We
It's
really
5
need to
weeks
get
away.
Yeah,
that
so-
out fairly soon.
And you sent something, didn't you, Robin, which was
I did, we met,
draft
a week
agenda.
or two ago, whenever it was, and developed just kind of an outline of an agenda. So having the speaker, perhaps doing a small segment on a Bowen context, there might be a video, might be revisiting a community story, just a refresher, that kind of thing. And then doing some kind of, we thought the theme would be this community economic development, because I think we sort of introduced it a little bit. A focus last year was on business licenses and other things.
Yeah.
So this year, the focus is really going to be on community economic development, what that is, how it's going to impact Bowen. And then we'll do a session like we've done the past years, some sort of round table groups or whatever it is, that will explore some different things about community economic development. And it may be informed also by this different work that we've done.
Can I suggest, that, you know, put it as a question, is that,
Yeah.
you know, to get it, it's not really my problem now, because
But you'll be,
yeah, I'll be there. It was 5 weeks to do that, all that, with no budget sorted out yet, no list published, no agenda, no fixed agenda, no speakers, etc.
Yeah.
We're putting ourselves under a lot of pressure, and I think maybe we should consider postponing it to March or even April, because what's the
rush?
what's the pressure?
well, my,
What was the rush, yeah?
yeah.
It wasn't a rush, it was that was, over the years, the dark days of fall and
yeah.
winter had been
Yeah.
a very good time to have an event like that, but
Yeah, I mean,
Our
we
first
just-
one was
just
in
no
October.
rush.
The first one was October, the
Well,
last
dark
one
days
was
of
in
October,
January.
yeah, that was October.
And I think it's that we just don't want to get too close to busy summer. So I think April's probably too late because people are
Yeah.
gearing up and doing
Yeah.
stuff. So I think January, February, March is our window. So it was just, and it was going to be January, and I think January was not successful last year because, no, the actual event was, but it was for these exact same reasons. It was very short window in beginning of January to advertise, push it, all of that stuff. So we decided to push it to February, and then now we're again, same thing. So I'm okay if we can, to me, the speaker's actually the most important
Yes.
thing. I feel like we can find a venue, we can explore dates with the Legion or whatever. But it's really about, I think it would be nice to get an interesting speaker and make sure that they're available.
And this year, I'm not sure that April's too late. It's not really.
It is the beginning of April. Again, I don't know where
It
Easter
would have to
falls
be the
this year.
beginning
I
of
think
April,
March is,
because-
I just think spring break.
I do think March is
Legion
better. Well,
is a
March
good-
is the last 2 weeks of March
It's
is
spring
spring
break,
Yeah.
so it's just one of those things, we've
Okay.
just gotta look at schedules, right? Sorry,
Yeah,
Seth.
yeah, you know, if we get into spring break, that's tricky. If we're after spring break, then it is April.
Yeah,
And February 28th is pretty much the beginning of March anyway.
yeah.
So we could go 1 week back.
This is,
February 26th is actually 6.5 weeks away, so.
yeah. I actually don't think that it's too much work,
Week and a half.
certainly to pull together the working sessions.
You know,
And it's, well, because I know you're busy, so it's the Bowen context that might be challenging.
you know, we have enough to pull that together without.
Yeah, so really it's the speaker.
And
Yeah.
and since we're asking, and maybe this is a big ask, but since we're asking a community economic development person to come and speak, maybe we could get them to give us their advice on how they would see a session like this unfolding.
Yeah.
You know, like so like some of the breakout questions or
Yeah.
groups and stuff, they might have something to say about it.
So what I'm thinking is the group of us that are organizing it, so the engagement committee, let's book a meeting. Yeah, it's the engagement committee.
Okay,
Let's book a meeting for quite soon.
Yes.
And Steph, if you're able to, I don't know how we're going about getting the speaker, but if we can do that as soon as possible.
okay.
And then you're agreed, once we have the speaker, I think it would be good to speak with them and develop the agenda for the thing. But I don't think at this stage I wouldn't, yeah, I think 6 weeks, I think
Okay.
we're actually in good stead. As long as in probably the next 2 weeks, we can find a speaker.
Okay.
I think let's push it off. If we don't, or the dates don't work, then let's make the decision to push it off.
We had a number of people who came and spoke with us as a committee.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't one of them work? I mean,
Yeah.
We talked about that, yeah.
So I think, sorry, I just saw coming back to me, what happened was it was your thought about land use as being an issue that I went
Yes.
to Kathy about because we had this very dynamic speaker in Kelowna at a community planning conference. And so I said, what if I call her? And then I think the bells went off for her because it was getting onto council territory. It was also getting on our planning staff territory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she just asked me to hold off. But I think if we come in from a less threatening angle.
Right, more community economic development, and then if we want to talk about land use, which I think would be useful in any way, we could ask someone from staff to come and do that.
Yeah, excellent. So which one of the ones that we've seen, the SFU West, that one? Was he the one?
Wes Reagan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, they were,
Can I
Yeah.
suggest that we take this offline?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
We don't need to
This
talk
is
about that
kind of
right
getting
now.
into the weeds of,
Yeah.
but we'll leave it in there for now. Subcommittee reports. Robin.
Oh, well, that was kind of it. That's all we're doing at the
Can
moment.
you,
is the
just, I'm
engagement.
curious, how did they, I mean, I saw the ads in the Bowen ads.
Oh, yeah, the
and
buy
stuff.
local.
How was that received? And have you
Well, that's
get
what I
feedback?
actually want to have at the business summit is somehow get some feedback from
Okay.
people as to how it was received. I personally saw several of the posters, at least
Yeah.
3 or 4,
Yeah.
in different businesses. So I think they've embraced it, and it would be, I think that's something that we should make an action item for
Cool.
either the summit or this year, to follow up and see if it was beneficial and if it's
Yeah.
worth doing again, because it was an investment of money.
It's still ongoing, it's
Right.
going until March.
Great.
I think the posters could be, I could go, or you guys can go, I get paid, but it's the when you go to them with a pen
Yeah.
and 2 posters, and you sit there with them, and then you take one away, put it on the ferry and leave them, then it was really loud.
Oh, okay, so did you
I
activate
did that a few
Really?
times, but I just, pardon?
Keep going.
Yeah, I was Aaron Brockoviching it for sure, but then I just got into my own, then I was
That's who you remind me of.
trying to fit it into the Christmas shopping, and then I thought,
Yeah. Oh, well, good work.
my Christmas
Yeah.
shopping, I don't want to be doing this anymore.
So I think we definitely need to follow up on that this year and see how successful it was and whether it's worth investing in it next fall.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. New business, 2019 work plan, we talked about that today. I don't think we need to spend more time on
I
that.
just wondered if we wanted to have some kind of summary on the public record about what just took place. That's why I put this.
Well, I think we'll come back with, I
It's-
suggest we come back with that once it's been,
Yeah, it's an action item to get feedback from about that local campaign.
No,
no,
we're on the.
yeah, we're good.
Oh, the work plan, sorry, we're already past
So
that.
I'm just gonna say the committee.
Can tell I'm
discussed
kind of
the-
done after 3 hours.
yeah.
Regarding
Yeah,
bringing the
work
work
plan.
plan draft to next meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we'll figure that out between the new chair and I because I won't be here. So.
She's already co-vice chair.
Okay, updates from council?
2 things. We're in the midst of our strategic planning work for the 4-year term, but in particular the first year. That will come together roughly over the next month or so and be on council agenda most likely around the 26th of February. So there's been 3 full-day sessions already, and there'll be another one. The second thing has to do with the whole notion of Bowen as being rural or not, and that has really important implications in terms of which grants we're eligible for. So there has been ongoing conversation with a couple of ministers. Wendy has been really helpful in giving us a heads up as to when to take certain actions. We've got our rural dividend fund grant under consideration. But the other thing that's going on is there was an outreach on rural engagement through Minister Donaldson, his ministry, Forest Lands, Natural Resources and Rural Development. And Bowen participated in a research study that was being conducted by Deloitte about the effectiveness and the administration of rural programs. So Kathy and I had an opportunity to have a very good long chat with the researcher from Deloitte and got our concerns on the table, which have mostly to do with being ineligible because we're part of Metro Vancouver, whereas the folks in Salt Spring, they're part of the Capital Regional District, but they are eligible, you recall. And I think we were able to make the points we needed to make, and we've got support through the Islands Trust. They're pushing on this, and Metro Vancouver is pushing on it. The feedback that came from Metro was that, from the board, was that using regional district boundaries to determine eligibility for rural funding was too coarse a tool, and that they needed to be more discriminating in determining what was rural and what was not. So we're in a very good position. We've pushed this farther than it's ever been pushed before, and in the next couple of months we'll find out about the grant, and we'll also find out whether there are going to be changes made to the rural dividend fund period, whether we can get permanent eligibility. And there's also a raft of legislative change related to the Island Coastal Economic Trust, which we're also not eligible for, and those are going to be put forward in February. So things are good.
So we're becoming quote, more officially rural.
More
Hopefully.
officially rural.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and this wouldn't affect our metro, our status within metro? We still do?
No, it would just mean that we would be handled in the same way that the San Juan, Salt Spring, a couple of the others, they're part of their regional district.
Yeah.
And because of a bunch of things, they gained a permanent exemption, and Bowen didn't. And
Are there other rural communities within metro, or would we be the only one?
we're probably the most rural, but there
Yeah.
certainly are other communities that have a large agricultural base.
Yeah.
But the focus is on, you have, at the moment, it's 25,000 and under. So within Metro, Bowen, Anmore, Belcarra, I think Port Moody, I'm not certain. They're, and Lions Bay are all the little ones. But we're unique in that we're an island. So the argument that the Islands Trust is making, and that we've made in discussion with Minister Donaldson, is that the easiest, the most elegant thing to do to deal with the issues of the Islands Trust is just to deem all of the islands in the Islands Trust as rural and eligible, which makes sense.
Yeah, good work, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Because it means a lot in terms of what we can apply for and the kind of support we have for infrastructure projects.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's one of those things that goes under the radar
Yeah,
and
Yes.
people don't know about,
Yeah.
but can make
yeah,
can be a real tipping point.
yeah. It's been on my radar because of Gordon Dunant, because he hammered at me before I was elected, after I was elected, on the importance of this and how difficult it would be to get any movement on it. So 4 years later, we got some movement.
Good on Bowen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maureen.
You're welcome.
We don't have a province on the line, so tourism Bowen Island.
We haven't had a meeting since EDC's last meeting. We have one next week, so I don't have anything.
Okay. And do you have any plans for any strategic planning sessions for the?
No plans for any strategic planning sessions. I've had conversations on an individual basis with board members, just, a couple of them have asked to meet with me just in general, new board members and that sort of thing. And so I think I may have mentioned at the last meeting, moving forward, it's going to be quite a different functioning committee, in the sense that everybody is going to take on some kind of a role to support tourism on the island, as opposed to two people taking on that role, which will help everybody in the long run, including our employee. So we just need to have this first initial meeting and hash out some things. We've got some website issues right now. I don't quite understand exactly what is going on. They had to move hosts or something, so that's kind of top of the list for our next meeting.
Well, just to perhaps mention again, is that the EDC has said that it's standing by and willing to help facilitate a strategic planning process. for tourism. And we're very much eager to do that, I think.
And I think that's great. I think we want to have this first meeting, and I'll bring it up and I'll put it as an agenda item and we'll discuss it.
Yeah, if you can come back, I know Ed was interested in possibly facilitating that. No? Okay.
All good.
Anyway, the offer is still there, and I
Yes.
think we're still.
We can make it happen.
We do
Yeah.
need that, but like I said, we
Just not yet.
just not quite. Oops.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Nobody here from, oh yeah, Arts Council.
Yeah, the gallery's closed for the remainder of the month for the Commons for January for cleaning. We're open.
For cleaning.
I know, but they are doing it. I mean, that's exactly the message that came out.
Yeah. Okay.
For cleaning, a little bit of renovation and getting things spiffed up, and then on let's see,
Is that
February.
all of Commons?
Right.
Is all of Cold Commons or just the gallery bit?
Just all of Coca, just the gallery bit, yes,
Are they
yes.
doing something about, is it more than just, are they doing something about the acoustics or something?
I'm not sure exactly what it is. I just got this notice a couple days ago. On February 6 through 12, we're having the annual miniature fundraising, and on the 23rd, Saturday, we're having the mini gala.
So what was the date of the fundraiser?
The fundraiser is on February 23rd, it's a Saturday. And tickets are available online if you go to the Arts Council website. And the last thing is, we are beginning to do the signage in not completely permanent ways for the Hearth, which is the new brand for the Arts Council. So we are now Hearth Arts on Bowen.
Cool. Great, thanks, Seth.
I've got nothing.
You got anything? You got nothing. You got nothing. Okay, information items, so I think I don't need to go through those. And all that people read. Next meeting, Friday, February the 8th.
Yeah, we just confirmed that.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the end of my.
Ooh.
I'll be saying
John, Steph has organized a really nice card for you. Good luck to you. Thank you very much, John. It's been tremendous with you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Be here to help.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Thanks, man.
The 25th.
Yeah, thanks.
Leaving
I heard you're
for,
doing a little.
We're just waiting for
Do you want to wait for Bob?
print some things on, I think it's coming later. He's coming later.
Later, okay. One sec.
So you got copied in on our approval in principle on that?
I don't know. Is that recent?
Or would it have been
Friday?
last week?
Oh, yes, we can this one.
The which? Yes.
Yes, yes, I did. I was thinking of the pub.
Oh,
Remember we approved it? Yes, that's great. What's your schedule?
sometime in March. Yeah, because the approval in principle basically gives us the ability to build out the store.
Right.
And then when it's all done, according to how we said it would be done,
Yeah.
they then come and inspect.
Right.
And then they give us the license. And then when we give the license, then there's a bunch of other stuff we're able to do. Like we can't apply for tax numbers. We can't do anything until we get the license in hand.
Okay.
So then there's a bunch of work to be done once we get that.
It seems crazy, like when they started, they were like, only, there's only 2 stores or something open, and I was like, I don't know how people got open even. It's like, it seems like half the stuff they didn't even come out with until after it was legal. Like all
I think the
different
first
steps or
few
something.
stores were handpicked and they worked with them one-on-one.
Okay.
It sounds like that to me, like the
Yeah.
people that I've spoken to that have the licenses, they had a different level of, I guess, attention.
They're almost like test cases.
Yeah,
Like,
so
they
they-
all-
Kimberly, they were.
They took stores that had been dispensaries previously, that were outside of the lower mainland, and were good operators.
Yeah.
And kind of using them as guinea pigs for their ordering systems and for all of the processes. and stuff.
Okay, I think we're here.
We're good? Okay. We call the meeting to order. Can I get someone to approve the agenda?
Second that.
Adoption of the minutes.
I have one question about the minutes. In my notes, we've talked about capacity for Sun Cove Sewer. And I have written down another 80 connections before Bob thinks we need to expand sewer plant capacity. But I don't see any record of the 80 or the overall sewer capacity in the minutes. Is that something that is proprietary or something, or do we not?
That level of detail would normally not be in the minutes. There is a fair high level of detail in these minutes just because there was no report provided.
Yeah.
But
You don't usually.
I'm not writing reports.
Okay.
But if you want, I mean, if that's information that you can.
I just thought it would
Was
be,
was it something that's confirmed by Bob, or was it a start of the wall kind of thing? Was he?
before Bob thinks, another 80 connections before. See, we have been doing that Care Lidle report, right? And I don't know where that's at. Maybe we wait for that, or does anybody know where that is? Care Lidle is all about sewer capacity.
That specifically the one about the sewer capacity, I think was done and delivered by Herbert Radler last year. Did he forward it to everybody? Specifically that one?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, you
it's
put
just,
it in.
I just think it's something council should be aware of and that we
Yeah.
could be referring to in our minutes as we look at all these, you know, adding another 16 or whatever.
I don't mind it going into the minutes
Do you wanna
provided it's confirmed by Bob. Whether that's-
If you want it in the minutes, why don't we put it in this today's meeting when
Yeah.
Bob gets here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
Do you
when
want
he
to add
comes,
that to the agenda?
when he
Already
comes-
to the agenda.
well, let's just leave the, let's not adopt the minutes until Bob comes.
Okay.
So
let's
we
do that.
skip ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but he can't talk, but on here it talks about in the minutes saying that we'll install a stoplight, we'll put in the conduit for the stoplight. We won't install it.
Would be, so installing a conduit?
Yes.
Oh, I said installing electrical wiring and a transformer.
Okay. Oh, I'm
That's not a
looking on
conduit?
here. It's in what I'm reading on page 5. He could install a stoplight to prevent pedestrians from.
So more like, so that a
So I-
stoplight could be
Just
installed.
so that a
or something.
stop-
So that a
However,
stoplight.
just so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So, it's okay, thank you, that a stoplight could be installed.
Okay,
I
so
just,
we-
so you don't like my idea, then we just adopt the minutes and then when Bob gets here, we'll include the sewer capacity 80.
No, let's just wait till
when
Bob
he
comes.
gets, we'll
Yeah.
adopt that, so we'll just move on to
Yeah.
public comments. From public comments.
I know you want to do
Nope, okay, we'll move on to new business then. Yes?
Thank you. So I have a referral from council for the rezoning at 431 Bowen Island Trunk Road, so the Union Steamship Marina is applying to rezone to allow for the development of 6 additional floating buildings to provide staff housing for the marina. So the report is here, and so it would essentially allow for
Page 9 of 29?
yeah, or even on 11, so additional 6 floating attached dwellings with up to 16 dwelling units. And then if you look on page 13, it sort of shows the how that would work, essentially along within the marina itself. So along, or yeah, I'll position it. So as you go down the ramp onto the marina floats, where essentially the small boats currently are along that side is where they would all be put in. And then I'll say of note to the sewer committee, so currently in the zone, there's a provision that says that float house use is only permitted as an accessory use to marinas limited to 2% marina berths, subject to a permanent connection to sewer pump-out facilities for land-based sewage disposal. So that's currently the regulations in our zoning would say you need to have a permanent connection. What the applicant is proposing instead is based on, so these are the British Columbia float home standards, says that float homes shall have or be connected to an improved sewage disposal system. Sewage disposal system shall comply with the sewerage system regulation or the municipal wastewater regulation. So they're proposing an onboard sewer treatment plant. So,
Which page was that?
sorry, this is on the BC float home standards.
Oh, right, okay.
By on board, you mean each home independently would have their own?
Each floating unit would have its own onboard.
Is it just like a holding tank that gets serviced like a septic system?
So maybe we can Daniel finish and then we can?
Sure.
Or is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the chair, I guess,
Oh.
how you'd like to
All right.
proceed. I'm happy to give the overview and then you always want to get technical.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so essentially what's proposed is that there be an onboard system for each of the units that would treat the sewer on its own. So council gave at that meeting in November, rescinded previous ones, gave first reading and referred it to the APC, the Islands Trust. The Housing Advisory created this snug sewer as well. So it's gone to the other committees for comment, and they've commented on, among other things, that affordable housing component of it, that they be provided for worker housing. The Islands Trust has commented that it meets the Islands Trust policies. The APC's provided comments. And so what we're looking for the sewer committee specifically on is this issue of how the sewer is dealt with. So moving from the current regulation that says, okay, it needs to be connected to the permanent, with a permanent connection, to say, okay, the BC float home standard says it needs to comply with the different regulations, and that this is an onboard system being proposed.
What's an onboard system, I guess?
So, Go Green Wastewater Treatment has created, it's a little bigger than this box, it's a 3 system. All the toilets, sink, shower water goes in one side. There's another compartment it goes into, it aerates it, gets it to a cleaner stage, it goes into the third one that is gray water at that point, I believe is the term. He's the one who built it, this is early. And then it puts it back into the seawater in a clean stage, similar to what happens at the Central Sewer Treatment Center.
So is there a separation of black water, gray water that or is it just get treated to the point where it can be put into the ocean?
You can treat it to a point to the ocean.
I see. Okay, where, do these get used in other floating home
They're used.
community?
Yeah.
They're used in fisheries, Canada uses them, fishing lodges use them, logging camps use them, that all have floating facilities like a houseboat, and also they are approved for freshwater, which is a totally different standard than saltwater because the freshwater is a more fragile ecosystem than salt. Well, I don't know, more fragile. Yes, so it's been approved by Environment Canada to use that way.
And is there a limit to the amount of volume that can be put through these things as far as number of fixtures you're attaching to them, that kind of thing?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And obviously the 6 homes fit with it.
So each duplex home, so would have 2 apartments in it per se, has one in each, or one for,
Duplex has 2 units,
right,
the single is 1 unit.
right.
So each
Unit has its own.
has one, okay.
Each floating home.
Well, that's no duplex has 2.
Duplex has 2, fourplex has 4?
It's my understanding that the one that has 2 duplex, 2 apartments, has 1 unit, or 2 units.
2 units.
2 units, okay, and then the fourplex is going to have,
2 unit is calculated out how much the volume is for the team, for the retention time to be approved, so.
Correction on that. The standard duplex, for 2 units, have 1 400-gallon system. When we move to a fourplex unit, we'll have double that.
does that make sense?
What's the maintenance on these units?
Very minimal.
Every 3 to 5 years, they will require probably a pump out and clean out.
So do you have to add any chemicals to these things?
No.
Nothing, they're completely.
So the standard of the effluent, what flows, what is output into the seawater, is that equivalent to tertiary, or how would it relate to emissions from our regular plant?
From your regular plant? Well, your regular plant, from my understanding, emits from out of the head of the bay.
Yeah.
Where these come from each unit, and so as a toilet is flushed, that much capacity that goes into the tank comes out of the tank. So it's a much less all at once dump into the water, which probably is much better for the water. And it also, the cove was dredged so that where is it? Right here. Originally dredged to create a clockwise flushing action, and the BC ferries augment that also. And each of the float homes are on the far side. That is the final flush out, so it helps to keep that going all the time instead of where the sewer treatment just dumps at once. Certain.
No, that's not true, but.
Okay, that was my understanding.
But where?
We
What do you do?
continuously outflow all the time.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I thought, it's
regulated.
just trickling
Yeah.
out all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But that's not your department, it's okay. And in terms of the, what is emitted into the seawater, one of my concerns is that the beach is often closed for swimming or wading or, people there. I don't think we can say that this is gonna be the only thing. I know there's lots of boats and our plant is there and all that kind of stuff, but when I'm asking about the quality of the effluent, is it like something you could drink? Or is it like something that would be in a ditch? Or is it like something that would come out of our water treatment plant?
I can answer to that. My name is Jerome Kiasad. I'm the president and owner of Bowen Wastewater. In 2004, we did the first program on fishing lodges. 2009, we had our system approved by Novatech Engineering. And Novatech is the company that have the certification for the U.S. Coast Guard and also for NSF testing. The testing facility is in Como, and they tested and sent it to an independent lab. We're not involved in it, and they got recognition that it is approved, and Environment Canada have recognized it and said, you approve. They can endorse us. I think that's known that you can only get the okay from them. But they use one of our facility over in Banfield, where they have the training facility for the enforcement officers, and they have used it to show how different it should be and what. If I may explain what is interesting is, it's a different testing. What they do, they take 40 liters of the effluent, send it into the lab. The lab has small thing in troughs. They put in the water, and certain temperature, certain time frame, they have to survive 96 hours. So when it leaves any of our treatment plants, it will not harm the fish in the area. So right it's saying that if there's some boats there that don't have any treatment, the water's probably pretty bad, but ours would be much cleaner, even cleaner than the municipality.
Great,
And I
thank you.
attached that Nautilus report.
Yeah, sorry, I just haven't had a chance to read it because I
Nope,
just got
yeah.
it. So excuse my questions. And these trout, so it's a freshwater testing?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you send me that report, did you? It's not proprietary.
Okay.
Where do the tanks get located? Like where are the holding tanks at? Do they,
In the base structure of the house.
so they're in the, on water?
They're, yeah,
They
this
don't
is,
get pumped to?
no, no. And there's hatches in the actual floor, so we can access them whenever we need to.
So it's mostly aeration and filtering, I gather?
Yeah.
Okay. And when it is pumped out, every 3 to 5 years, how does that happen?
It would get connected to the Stud Cove water treatment and done with a hose from that. We have,
Through your office building there?
yes, it would go through the office building and then,
Yes, it goes through the standard boat pump out
just like the
system.
boat pump.
That then puts it into our pump system, that then pumps it up to the sewer level, and then into your sewer system that pumps it again.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know.
So it's gonna be connected to the sewer system?
It has connections that we can connect a hose to it, and actually connection where it's not just one, it can go into both tanks, and we can, if one tank's clogged this way inside, we have ability to wash through to clear any, by chance, clogs or anything. But if you just stick a hose to it, then it goes through the boat pump out system and goes up into that.
So if you have the ability to connect to the system, why not just connect to the system permanently? Would that, is that?
They have found that in North Shore,
Oh, no, in Mosquito Creek, they have about 20 to 30 houseboats, and they have had continual problems with cloggage and pump maintenance and stuff like that, and they are actually switching all their boats to this, all their floating homes to this system.
The city of Vancouver?
Mosquito Creek Marina.
I have a question for Daniel. Has Metro Vancouver Parks been referred to, or do they know that all these houses with this system, because they're a water's edge park, have they been involved?
They were referred the application at the beginning and before the public hearing we held in October. I haven't received any, and I haven't done my own personal follow-ups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think at the last meeting in November, we just talked about this is the year for the orchard, it's not, Davy's Orchard redesign. And I assume they're gonna have some public washrooms in there, and there might be some, I just talked about possible cost sharing with the municipalities. That was sort of different. But because they're doing their redesign, I was thinking we might want to give them a heads up that this project is going ahead, and that even if it's just to allay their any concerns that they might have about water quality.
Yeah.
You know, because they're redesigning. So if that's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
That you might let them know, keep them in the loop or something.
And just so I understand, Daniel, you've got policy 78 here, this, using these standards, float homes must have or be connected to an approved sewage disposal system. So is the question of this committee, is this an approved system, or are we looking at rewording that?
Yeah, I mean, so we've received from the applicant, actually from Arlene here, that the system meets or exceeds the sewage system and the wastewater system. And I've heard that verbally from Coastal Health. I have not received anything in writing from them. But so I think more this is this is referral from the committee in terms of what do you think, like our current regulation says that you have to connect. You know, we pointed the float home standard as like an alternate to say, okay, well, you don't have, you know, this is an alternate way to say, okay, people don't have to connect, they can just meet these regulations.
But that's what I'm saying, there is something that says connect to the municipal system. It says connect to an approved sewage disposal system. Did I read it?
Yeah, so in the zone.
This is in the.
DOCP,
Policy
you're right.
78.
Yeah.
Page.
Yeah, so this policy 78 approved sewage disposal system. The land use bylaw says permanent connection to a sewer pump out facility for land-based sewage disposal. In the current land use bylaw.
So if their system, I'm just trying to understand whether this is even something that needs to be part of the rezoning, because if they are attached to the municipal system, and this is an approved sewage disposal system, would this even be part of it? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Right. Like if they were permanently connected to the, like if that was the plan, there's no onboard treatment, they were a permanent connection to the sewer system, then they'd be meeting the land use bylaw. There wouldn't be a question of whether or not.
So is your connection to the municipal system permanent, or do you attach a hose when you need to?
Our marina is permanently attached, but for each float home, you would have to attach a hose. And in Vancouver Coast health authorities that you guys refer to, they only deal with land discharge only, and it is my knowledge that Environment Canada is the one who does float home sewage approval, or acknowledgement that it works.
So this is where the question of what is an approved,
Well, that's the thing, if this is an approved system,
Which it is.
does it design currently meet the guidelines?
No, so it would meet the OCP policy.
I see, okay.
Right,
so
but it
this
would meet
is
the
OCP, but that's
the zoning is the one
I
that
gotcha.
says permanent connection to a sewer land-based blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the change would basically be permanent, the permanent portion of the connection. Is that right?
Yeah, or I think we'd change it to something to match this. Okay. Like an approved sewage disposal system, and then you would say, if this meets these standards, and it's certified and it meets, then that would be.
Does the system require any annual testing?
No, but I can tell you that in 1998, Minister of Health, they let people all individually come with a proposal for innovative technology new to BC. And we got approved in 1999 and still have that approved, and our earth system still works on that. So we were approved and still are by health. But I want to say the floating homes are not under health, they are under Environment Canada, who has recognized, yes, we are approved to discharge by any float home, any logging camp, any fishing laws, like Interfor, one of the biggest logging companies, they have now 3 of our systems, and they're going to get 3 more this year. So they're using it as an approved system.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering whether there's a need for the municipality to require annual testing or inspections, like what's the lifespan of these systems? Should there be something that, do we just wait for it to fail? Like,
No,
that isn't going to happen. No.
We've been in business for 20 years now, and we have none of the systems have failed. And none of the component is polyethylene tanks, and the media is high-density polyethylene. And those installations here have an area that is outside, so there's less wear and tear on it. But if that failed, then the area would have to be changed, that's all.
so it seems to me one of the questions is if we can confirm which government department is the approval department for this.
Environment Canada.
This is what I'm hearing, so.
And I guess I always view it through the lens of we go to Coastal Health and they go to Environment Canada. So in
Okay.
terms of our point, I look for Coastal Health to say, yes, this is fine because Environment Canada has said it's fine.
Right, but the coastal health won't touch it because it's not
Yeah.
on land. So it goes to Environment
But,
Canada.
but we as a municipality in this area, we have to go through Vancouver Coastal Health, is that correct?
I mean, that's in essence what I'm saying is like, and then they say, no, Environment Canada says this, so they can say this is who would approve it. It's essentially the route I would take to
Right.
get to somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
But it must already be approved, is it not? For yes.
They've, all those logging camps
Yeah.
and fisheries, Banfield uses it. So, yes, it's already approved by Environment Canada.
So we just want to see that, I guess, that some sort of stamp. It's
You
approved,
guys,
or-
you've been
You got
emailed
this?
this, but I have more copies of them.
Okay.
So you're welcome to take these copies, or I can email them to you directly, but this is the Environment Canada report done by Novatech.
We're good. Yeah, that's it.
It's a light reading.
Could I make a suggestion? To cover the union steamship, I would strongly suggest that you do a sample of your TSS and your BOD. Say for the first 2 years, sample your effluent every 3 months. Because if what's gonna happen is if the beaches get closed again, you're gonna get blamed for it.
Right.
So if you sample, so if we had something in the land use, or Daniel in his report saying, for the first 2 years, you sample every 3 months. It's a simple sample, you send it off to ALS or whatever, and then after 2 years, if it's fine, then you could likely go to every year. That's what we had to do with the sewage treatment plant when we first started it. That would be my suggestion. It just covers you and covers.
Union steamship is covered because the testing that was done in Novatek's facility in Comox was specific for this unit.
But you know what? I don't care what happens in some of it, you should test it, because the rumors that get around on Bowen Island, if the beaches get closed with high coliform, they're gonna blame this. That'd be the easiest, it's just, for a $200 sample, it's way easier in the long run. It covers everybody's liability in that, and then you can prove, rather than going, well, it's been tested from some other company, I would, if I was Daniel, I would say this is sort of one of your conditions. For the first 2 years, every 3 months, and then after that, a year, if everything is fine. It's just simpler in the long run.
Right, and what's involved in testing?
You just take a water sample test. You can go in your third tank, your effluent, wherever it goes out.
It's the same as I explained before. We have to have, let's say, 40 liters, and that goes to the lab. And there's nothing with TSS or BOD. This is only survival of finland trout. And it doesn't matter if it's smaller system than those or bigger for 38 logging cans. Same testing. And that's done for this one so many times. We can do it again, but I'm not sure it's really valid here because we heard that all the ships and all the boats out there, they're not having any treatment anyway. So it wouldn't be the flow foams, it would be the boat that has no treatment whatsoever, but polluted bay.
But couldn't you like not do the trout? You don't need to do the trout test. Can't you just take the water and
What
do
test did you guys do?
When we send our effluent out, we do a TSS and a BOD.
How much water do you take?
2 sample bottles this big.
Okay. And you send it?
Send it to ALS. We get the courier to pick it up. We send it out. We do it every month for our sewer plant.
Right.
But, you know, do it every 3 months, and then if it's fine,
After 2
I
years.
just think that would be the.
See, here's the thing, is it's kind of, then you can compare apples to oranges, and it's actuals. It's not like the equipment and what the equipment can do. What you're showing, if all goes well, is what you're showing is, these are samples of the actual effluent.
This is what's actually
coming out. And this is what's actually coming out.
Nobody can say anything then.
It's, kind of insurance.
Do we have to do every building, or can we just pick one, or change around? Everything?
I would strongly, you're gonna have 2 plants, right?
Well, no, we're gonna have a total of 6 buildings.
Every building will
If,
have
at full capacity, we'll have 6 buildings and there'll be 8 plants.
Do you know how much it costs to do a sample?
I think it's around 200.
For our 4 samples, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to talk to Daniel about that, you know, but I guess the first 2 I would, just to make sure that, because you're not gonna put all 8 plants in right away, are you?
No.
Not within the first 2 years?
I
Once you have some
expect
information.
we have, if all goes right, we might have 5 by the end of this year, maybe it'll just be 4 buildings. Because that's pretty costly to do 8 every 3 months.
I would say like, for the first couple of years, or the first year to make sure it's working, and then after that,
testing each one.
you can slacken it off.
But by the diagram that I'm looking at here, are they not daisy chained together?
No.
They're not.
That's
No,
all
that-
like one.
that's
just
one
one
unit.
unit.
That's
That's
one
one
unit.
I got you.
And it's about a little bigger than the size of this table.
Okay.
That's, you just dip in and take it.
Would that work early to just from the
It
third
would.
tank?
But I would suggest that everybody can take the first one and get that done, so then we know the next ones are gonna be okay. So if that's, we can do that for sure.
Yeah, I can just see it coming up if, you know, in the summer and the beaches are closed, they're gonna point fingers, and that's the easiest one to point a finger at.
Mhm.
Even though it may not be true,
I do understand that.
and for $50 a sample or something like that, it's less grief.
Well, it's not, it's $200.
Well, no, but we do 4 samples.
Oh, you're saying for your total of 4 samples, so
I think
a
it's
sample is $50, you think?
Yeah, I have to check, I'll let you know, but
Okay, that's a difference.
it's not $200 a sample.
That's what I was under the impression.
So
Would it be
when,
easier just to do another sample and give to you to send it in with your signal?
No, I don't wanna get involved in it at all.
It's not a big deal, what you
separate,
said.
yeah,
Yeah.
church and state. I wonder about, can you, the pump out equipment that you, how would you link it up to the pump station in the office? You would have to drag hoses along?
When we put in our new docks, they will all have a connection at each building, so that all we have to do is hook up. We prefer not to leave the pipe hooked up all the time, just to hook it up whenever you're doing it, if we're doing it every 3 or 4 years.
Because you don't want the gunk to grow in it, possibly.
And just
walls.
degrade the pipe from the sun and the action
So-
of the movement of the building.
But there'll be a separate valve for each hookup.
So you would bring a hose out or a pipe out.
There'll be a pipe
At the
the
time.
full length of the dock with an outlet at every float house.
Right.
And,
So if it's there, why not just connect it?
well, you can, but you're asking for some problems on it, then you gotta valve it, and you've got a lot of movements and stuff. It's easier just to turn around and connect it whenever you're doing that.
Okay, thank you. That's minor stuff, and I just wanted to understand, have a picture in my.
Well, like, I don't think it's minor because, like, that's why I say, like, if you did have it permanently connected, as far as I can tell, this wouldn't be a zoning issue.
I mean, I would think it would still win if they're still discharging green water.
Through an approved system, though. That's
Yeah,
just my
yeah.
thought, right? It's already approved by Environment Canada, they're permanently connected, so.
So if you look up there, so there it says B, C, D, at the end of each of those docks, what Rondi is saying is there will be a sewer pump out connection there,
At each,
one. And so if all those houses, currently the houses, there we go, electric. So,
The office is there,
right,
so you have a
so,
hose.
for B dock, there would be one at the head of B dock. So there would have to go, and so the green waste comes, the pipes come out of there, so it would have to go under the dock and be connected there. Then this one would have to either go to this one or go to this one, for instance, and there would be a pump out hose there and connected there. We have found in the marina with wave action, at any time you have more conduit of anything, even like our freshwater pipes, you know, over time degrade and stuff like that, and it could be, you know, look at it this way, if it wasn't super cleaned out, then if the pipe fails, then you've got, you know, leaks. Yeah.
So by not having moving hoses and moving connections.
And exposed to sun, UV year round.
Right, so you're keeping it sealed until you're actually pumping.
Correct.
What do you have on the 2 homes now?
What?
What are on the 2 homes now? Like, you have one of these systems already working?
Correct, yes.
Where is the float home at the end?
The first one, the Defiance?
No,
red one?
no, sorry, the private one.
That one is permanent. That one
That one has a permanent connection.
That one has a permanent connection, the one that we
that
got
has
out?
a permanent connection that ties into our float home, that we utilize a pump at the bottom of a septic tank that's supposed to come on automatically and pressurize it in. That's,
You're talking
you
about the
know,
Dallas one?
The Dallas
Or
one.
no, we're
you
talking.
never know if it's working, and that's why we felt that the extra cost to put in these systems is a far better system, because it's foolproof. You know, you have to maintain them every 3 to 5 years. We don't know what usage they'll get. But to do that, you've got to suck out 400 gallons all at once. That's a big suck out. You know, that has to go through the suck-out pump, then into the other pump, and then into that pump, and then up to the street level.
So this relates to some of our discussion earlier, Bob, about the distillery, just the volumes all at once that could come to the plant, and is the 400 liters at a time going to be any problem for our plant?
Now that you're talking about the sewer system,
Yeah.
I would strongly, my personal opinion, they should be sucked out by A&A Septic. Because this is you're just trying to get rid of your waste, which then we have to deal with it. The muni has to deal with it.
That was a question.
Because
as
it's
well.
gonna be concentrated.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to just get a truck in every 3 to 5 years to pump it rather than putting it on a conduit to attach to the system?
Can't hear.
Would it not be cheaper to just get a tanker truck in every 5 years to pump it out rather than attach to the main muni system?
That might be, we don't know that. I'll let you know in 5 years or thereabouts.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like.
But it's set up so that could happen.
In an emergency, you
Yeah.
can't just start dumping things out, but I would say that I wouldn't allow, it'd be like somebody pumping out their septic tank and just dumping it in the sewer plant, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a concern.
Yeah.
I'm hearing. And so maybe we as a committee might want to make a comment that more discussion has to happen in terms of disposing of pumped out waste and how it's done.
The solids.
The solids, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what page would that be?
Do you want to make a motion? Like, what do you want to put all of our thoughts into one?
Well, we haven't really.
We have.
Starting of the resolution is that the committee supports the application with the following comments.
Yes.
Are we in agreement on that? Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So then the one of the comments would be that the treated, or the
solid
volume of the solid waste be considered.
I think what we're hearing from Bob, and whether we agree with that, is that I heard Bob say the word recommends, and maybe this committee would recommend that pumped out.
The solid removal chamber
Thank you.
pumped out.
By or into anyway.
by a private company? Or
Yeah.
Oh,
Not into the sewer.
Not into the sewer system.
Yeah.
Okay, not be pumped into the municipal.
Municipal sewer system.
Except by emergency. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to include that by emergency?
But, so, the line that you have that you're gonna go to your,
In the bottom of the.
to the office,
Yes.
which chamber is that it's in? Is it in the solids tank, or is it in the aeration tank, or where?
There's hoses to each.
We have both.
Hoses to your solids tank and your aeration tank?
It's an option we have. That's why we put double protection in. Because we're learning on this too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's gotta be something in there. So I understand in an emergency, you can't just start dumping it in, but there has to be some kind of mechanism so that you go, oh, well, it's an emergency for the weekend, we just dump it.
Yeah.
There has to be some way,
What defines it?
there has to be some kind of wording, I don't know how to say that.
I think
What, an
let's
emergency?
not put in anything about an emergency.
Yeah.
Our committee,
You can
this
get a
committee
sewage
can.
truck here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pump truck, right?
Yeah.
But like, say, yeah, so over a weekend or something like that, if it was a real problem, then yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but it's like, I don't want it every long weekend to be an emergency.
No.
Did you want to say something about
I hope
the,
so.
include something about the testing, that it's for the first year, it's the ALS testing?
I wouldn't say LS, but it should be tested.
Every 3
Effluent.
months for the first year, and
I
once
think it
a
should
year after
be,
that?
let's call it monitoring
Yeah.
of effluent.
Can you spell that for me?
Monitoring?
No.
Efflue.
Oh, I thought it was a scientific
No.
thing.
No.
Okay. Effluent.
Monitoring of the effluent be conducted for the first several years. And then we can leave it up to these guys to, or do we want to be more
No, it
specific?
should be specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every 3 months for the first
Every
year.
3 months for the first year,
Yeah.
and then once a year for the following 3 years? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
And where do those results go? Are they reported to somebody?
Reported to the municipality or do we?
Yeah.
The Bowen
For the public
undercurrent?
as
Yeah.
So it should
Public
be
works
monitored once a year. After the first year, it should be monitored once a year.
Always?
Yeah.
Forever?
Oh, okay, so skip that last 3 years.
Because it gets older and older, it may not work as
Yeah,
well.
what's the system?
So Environment Canada doesn't require any of this annual testing of these kind of pumps or anything like that?
No. Because we're at a funny place here where Environment Canada and
It's a big
the
gray area
logging
here.
camps and things, those are remote. And here we are in Metro Vancouver. So it's we're in that gray water area, is that what you said, Bob?
Gray water.
And where we're not sure what the authorities or what the standards are, and we're using, what sounds like wonderful equipment, but we're just not quite sure how it applies here, and so we just want to be careful.
Do you know what Mosquito Creek is doing are they being required to test?
No, not testing.
Are they using your equipment?
Yes. I want to just clarify this. What have been there for many years, they have the pumping system. And it's so costly, manual, they have to go down and touch the swell for each float hole. And secondly, they have a vacuum system that's excellent, but when it comes to teaspooning, it busts. And they have to
Say that again, when it comes.
a teaspoon in
Oh,
or anything.
right.
And I can just tell you that the pump has holes, some it's put on to get the vacuum.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, it takes nothing to damage the zone. Even that I'm working with them on a project in the Paul River, where we're going to have 28, 40 homes. They will not supply the float with that system. They want us to have individual system in, like they're buying from us now. Because over the years, it's been way too costly, manual and everything, and they can't recoup the cost.
But are they being required to do any testing by the municipality or city that they're in?
See, I personally don't think the testing should really be, I don't think it's a big deal. I would be more concerned about the visual inspections of the tank after a period of time. They should be, after 5 years, it should go through an inspection process. I would, to me, the testing of the actual effluent, it's like testing your orange juice when you buy it from the grocery store. You expect it's already been done. Like, this has been through a process that it's approved as a system. So that's just my thoughts.
Well,
I'd be more concerned about the degradation of the actual physical systems over time.
Well, probably the testing of the effluent would point to that. It would flag that, right? If there was a problem with if from the monitoring testing of the effluent, if there was any change in those levels of the.
I'm thinking inspection more for these are sitting in seawater. I mean,
Right.
they're going to degrade
20
over
years or
time.
something.
Like, at what point do they fail?
Okay.
Is there studies on that? Is there that kind of stuff?
What's the lifespan?
What's the lifespan?
I would say 30 years, and I like your approach to it, because what about if a log came and
Yeah.
hit the tank? That's different. The testing's done, we paid $35,000 for that testing, so I know that's done, I'm not worried about it. I'm more worried about what you're saying, we should test them, I would even say once a year, because there can be a log hitting it, and then we have a damage. The high-density polyethylene tanks are very heavy, but we all know that the log can go through a boat that is anchored, so I think that's a good point to have a manual inspection of the tanks once a year.
Which I assume you need to send a diver down. Is that how you do it?
No, we can actually take the lid off and we can check it from inside. And I have responsibility to use things that I look after them for the first year. So I'm actually the one that would provide the service. And I do that to any tank or any system we provide in BC. We give 1 year warranty, because we want to make sure if there's a problem, we want to know of it.
So it's not strictly visual inspection from the outside, it's more, you call it manual inspection?
Yeah, from inside, we look at a tank, that there's no
Right.
holes in it, that it's not a log,
Okay.
that we don't know of.
So could we say
So I've got that,
annual?
but the tanks are manually inspected once a year for damage and degradation.
That sounds good. Sound good, Bob?
Is that gonna be videoed or what, how are you
And that this is videoed with the sound
Like,
track.
Would you stick down a little camera?
It's like what, if you do the new phone, I use my phone,
Yeah, so
put
we
it
can
down,
buy an
look
outside
at-
source.
to make sure that I get into all corners.
Well, I'd be okay with the guy who's supplying it, doing the inspection, you know, like, that's, to me, it's the same as, you know, for, I'm thinking of grease traps or whatever. Whoever's providing the service, I'm sure he doesn't want it to be broken either, so.
But I take Bob's point about having a recording, so then you got,
Well, you gotta do something, you can't just, a guy go down and go, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Like, it comes back to haunt you in the long run unless
Yeah.
there's something
so just,
solid.
just some record,
Yeah.
right? So whether that is
We have the other one.
photographs or, could we say photos? Do you use photos? Do you take photos?
I use both photos and I use video for myself, so I can have a video available.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Let's say
It's the same.
photos or video, recorded on photos or video.
You have a problem. You remove the hatch on the floor to get to the hatch on the tank, which is a circular pulling around on the inlet and the outlet compartments. The water is 6 inches below that, so you would have to pump the tank out every year to do that. I meant to get a dry picture of that. I don't think that it's gonna give you much.
Well, I'd say that if there's no leakage and the same level, then I'd say, well, the level is the same in all tanks. Oh, here's one, and the level is not because it goes in and out. But I can take the video and the picture, I don't mind.
Yeah, okay. And water levels, and liquid levels.
That's how we checked the.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, let's add that.
That's part of the
Provide-
manual inspection?
Provide photos and or photos or video and
Including
water
levels,
as-
the levels of the liquid in each tank, something like that? Okay, that'd be good, Bob?
So I have 3 points in this now.
Okay,
What, do you want to say what they're?
Sure. That the solid. the solid
Just vote on it.
solid removal chamber be pumped out by a private company and not into the municipal sewer system. That effluent monitoring is conducted every 3 months for the first year and once a year after that, and that the results are submitted to the municipality. And that the tanks are manually inspected once a year for damage and degradation, and that photos or video of such are provided along with a record of water levels.
So I thought by doing the visual testing, the camera testing, we were getting rid of the fluent testing. That's what I was sort of
I'm not
hearing.
sure. I'm not
no, I think we
positive.
just added the idea of the liquid
Okay.
levels.
Well, we'll go
And we'll see, these are just
Yeah,
recommendations
for sure.
from this committee, and I think you'll probably have more discussion with staff before it comes to council, I might think.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've got most of my questions down, except the overall big one about capacity. We gotta go back to the minutes. And I think Bob's answered my question about capacity. My question was gonna be, how is the overall capacity of our slump pool?
Technically, this won't affect the sewer system at all.
Yeah, as long as the effluent doesn't come into it. Right. And that was my point, was what would be the impact, so by our first recommendation. Do we want to say something there? Well, no, Bob will be there to explain. Okay. About why. Anybody else got,
What was the preamble of the motion? Like you said the 3 points, but.
That the SUBCOMMITTEE Sewer Local Management Committee support the Bowen Island Municipality Land Use Bylaw number 57, amended bylaw number 461 regarding 431 Island Trunk Road with the following recommendations. So the support is the first there.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that? Is there another word? that
Yeah,
you
I
want?
wasn't sure going to say something about, the sewer committee supports the proposal for float homes with an approved onboard system or something like that. With
So
the-
get rid of all the land use bylaw.
Yeah, and essentially you're saying, we support this because it's approved. And so sort of conditional in there that you're saying, okay, because,
Oh,
other
so like a
agencies.
whereas?
I don't know, just like support the proposed development of floating buildings with an approved onboard sewage disposal system.
On-board sewage disposal,
Yeah.
committee members? You like it?
With an approved onboard sewage.
Supports the proposed development of floating buildings with approved onboard sewage disposal with the following recommendations.
Do we want to specifically speak to this technology, because this is what's been in front of us and we've been speaking of today?
I mean, 'cause my thing was is that like the sewer committee would say, okay, it's approved, right? We're fine, we're sort of agnostic to technology as long as we're saying, okay, it's approved, it's gonna be clean, what comes out the other end.
Yeah.
If
With the
they
following
said
suggestions.
actually for the third building, we've got a whole new technology, but it's also been approved and it
Right.
meets it,
I
right?
agree.
It's sort of 6 of 1.
Right, or 30 years
It's an
from now,
approved
they,
system.
Yeah.
it's a slightly different system or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're saying, yeah, following the
An
SUP
approved.
policy, it's an approved
The
one,
systems
so you're
that
okay
then-
with that, yeah.
Okay,
With approved onboard sewage disposal systems. With the following recommendations.
yeah.
Do we need a motion for that?
Okay. That the committee support the proposed development of floating buildings with approved onboard sewage disposal systems. I'm gonna slide in the land use bylaw
Sure, yeah.
stuff later with the following recommendations. Do you wanna hear them again? Okay,
Something wanna make that
it's a
motion?
massive committee. Who's gonna move it?
I think it's up to you and me.
Only 2 of the 3 of you get to do anything.
Go ahead.
Just raise your hand.
Move it.
And I'll second.
Seconded, all in favor? Perfect,
Okay.
we're good.
Good, thank you. All right. And then, what we didn't do, Bob, was, adopt the minutes if we want to.
No, we're fine.
Because I just had a comment before you got here, Bob.
Yep.
Hold on, do we have a public works update?
Thanks, Lloyd.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Everything's plugging along. Oh, I can give you an update, yes.
Did you want to adopt the minutes before we?
Oh, you want to do that or sorry?
Might as well.
Okay.
Adoption of the minutes, what was?
My point was, at the last meeting, I thought one of the key points for me, as a member of council, maybe that's it, but there was only another 80 connections before Bob thinks we need to expand the sewage treatment plant.
That's right.
And I didn't see that in the minutes, and I thought that would be important for council to see. And
The only question was whether that's an actual number or a guess, I guess.
Well,
That's something that should be in the minutes.
what happens is right now we have 3 trains, let's say, like 3 of these. We have the first and second one, which is that was the original sewer plant, and then the third one, we double it. So the number 3 train is twice the size of, is the same size of 1 and 2.
together.
Right? So we plugged along at doing 1 and 2 forever. About 3 years ago, we rebuilt the plant. So number 3 train could basically handle, I would say, almost everything. In the winter, everything. So we have number 3 and number 1 working. Number 2 is just sitting idle. So I know that that would take another 80 units at least, if not more.
It was 100 a few years ago.
It was 100 a few years ago,
Yeah,
so,
there we go.
so, you know, it wouldn't take a full 100 again,
Yeah.
but it'll take at least 80. That's where we come up with the latecomers agreement.
Right.
You know, a few years ago, like, to put another train in, it's about $800,000 to do that. And we figured that, you know, that's gonna be like 100 units would do that. So if you add those 80 units on at $10,000 a piece, that works out to $800,000. Once the capacity is totally full, we can build another plant.
Because I just thought that would be really valuable
Yeah.
to have in the minutes.
So when am I putting in the minutes of last month's meeting now? And now, 80 more units.
Yeah.
I can't do hand gestures and swing it around.
No, approximately, and what's it called, Annette? Single family equivalent unit.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Single
amount of shares.
Approximately 80,
family
yeah.
equivalent.
Unit, is that what it is? SFU?
SFU?
Single
SFU.
family equivalent unit.
80 SFU units more.
Connections.
Approximately.
Approx.
Additional connections.
Available for,
Before Bob thinks we need to expand the sewage treatment plant.
and
Oh, not Bob, before the sewage treatment plant would need to be expanded.
Yeah, I'm just putting words out there, this is working, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And if we
That's
could
it.
add
These
that
minutes
in,
have taken such a beating.
I move that we amend them, that
As
we
amended.
adopt the minutes as amended.
As amended.
Okay,
Yep, second.
okay,
All in favor?
okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we're still on Bob. Updates in Public Works.
We had a blockage in the system, and it all comes back to grease interceptors. There's a couple, I think that my guys are out pounding the pavement now. They're harassing the people that are not looking after their oil and grease
These
interceptors.
are commercial users.
Yeah, making enough food.
Yeah.
You're off the hook.
It's not me.
You're off the hook.
Brand new system, it's all working beautifully.
But I know we've talked to one of the restaurants and they're going, I go, well, how often do you clean your grease trap? And it's like, oh, we do it twice a year. It's like, well, you got, it's a little thing about this big that a house would, it's not enough. So they're on them now. We're not involving bylaw right now. It's just my guys are out because they seem to, a bylaw officer really doesn't understand the whole sewer and the grease and that, so my guys are out trying to explain to them, you know, even if you clean it up once a week, you don't have to have A&A Septic over and pump out a little grease trap this big. You can do it yourself, and then once you get 5 or 6 big 5-gallon pails of grease, then you can get rid of it. So there's a couple, but
Do those pails, do they get rid of it through the Bowen waste side of things, or do they come to the sewage treatment?
no, it doesn't come to the sewage. I don't want it.
You don't want it in the
No.
sewage treatment, gotcha. I'm just making sure I understand.
So that little bill, when it was plugged, we try to do it every 2 years. We missed it this year, or we missed it last year, so it plugged up. That's about an $8,000 bill. And, you know, we can trace it right to every restaurant that doesn't do it. You know, it's greasy, 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 and then restaurant, oh, it's clean. It's like, well, you know exactly where it goes, so. We're talking to those people.
You can track the grease.
Oh, yeah.
The grease police.
The grease police. Dewey, the grease police.
Dewey's on it.
Yeah. That's pretty well it. I'm still redoing, we're gonna redo the lift station,
Which one?
the one down by the boardwalk. Right now, because of the concrete, water's leaking in, so I'm getting a lot of infiltration, so our pumps are working twice as much from all this wet rain and that. So it'll be relined, and the way, how many years ago, that was put in the 80s,
Yeah.
or even older than that. For us to change the check valves and that, we actually have to climb down into the sewer. So Dewey's waterfalls running down his back, he's not very happy about it. So we're gonna replace all that and have it in a clean chamber off to the side, so that it's just it's an old style setup that
Yeah.
shouldn't work that way.
1985 to 1987 is what Ronnie said before.
Okay, so that's gonna get replaced this year,
How much is that?
200 grand.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was from our last meeting, we talked about
Yeah.
that. So it's gonna be relined and reconfigured inside?
Yeah, so what happens right now is, you got a big sewer manhole like this. Sewer comes in here, dumps in, we've got 2 pumps, and they go up like this and they go out to the sewage treatment plant, right? Well, in this little unit here, you have to tear them apart sometimes because it's just like a flapper valve gets stuck. So we have to actually climb down, pump all this out and work on it that way. The proper way to do it would be to extend these pipes up to like this, out, and then have a new chamber here and your check valve there. So that you're in the clean. This is, WCB is not like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's,
It's either
isn't
the two,
that,
I'm sure.
Yes.
isn't that something that
That is very
WCB
bad.
would come and like?
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yes, okay. And, so not just, so it's safety too,
Oh, yeah, it's a big city.
safety improvements?
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right.
So that was put in the budget. I don't know if it's gonna get approved yet or not, but.
Okay, good. All right,
That's all I have to say.
I have one question. It's in preparation, council's
It
just.
has to be by like May, I think.
Yeah.
It's always way later than you think it
Yeah,
should.
everybody tells me
The
it's January, but it
2019
usually
budget
ends
is
up.
halfway through 2019.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, it's that way
It's okay.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's partly, we had to have an election, right?
Yeah.
And,
And some of it, it's not till after, I think the surplus from the previous year can be accounted for. I think maybe that's partly why it's set for that, but it's always like, you always know what the surplus is, what you're using. But yeah.
I have a question about oil grit separators.
Yep.
Does any of that go into this sewage system when you clean out those traps, those separators?
Oil,
Grit separator? That's not
the
part of the sewage?
oil grit separator that's on the main road there, no, we bring a truck in, we suck it out and we haul it to
Take it
MCC.
away, okay.
That doesn't, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
And you
wondered.
wouldn't believe how many cigarette butts, it's full of cigarette butts.
Oh, really?
It is amazing how many cigarette butts go down there. Well, it used to go to the ocean, now
Yeah.
we stop them anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
And that gets done in the summer when there's no flow.
Yeah, yeah, okay, great.
That's it? Are we done?
I think we might be done unless we're going to talk about next meetings and stuff. I think we've got to figure out council is looking at committees and who's going to sit on the committees and stuff like that. I think at our next meeting, we're going to talk, council.
Yeah, it's in the check.
You've had enough of
Appointments.
sewer?
We were supposed to have an election today, but I just thought because Rodney was not, didn't know he'd be
Right,
here.
yeah.
And there's,
Yeah.
So like the chair.
Is he on this committee?
He is, but he can't talk when it's his project.
he's the chair of the
That's
committee. That's why
That's what I
you're.
thought, I was wondering why.
Yeah, but he can't approve something
Did
for
you
his
know
project.
you're vice chair? Yeah.
Conflict.
I was wondering if he'd actually be here.
He can't help himself.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be here, so that's.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's sort
He
of.
could have come in now and sat in and.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
he would have
Yeah.
stayed, but that's right.
I feel like I've got my head around some of the issues, but I've also taken on tons more with the Islands Trust and stuff like that. So
Right.
can I take on more committees? So anyway,
Alright, so you're trying to stay here, or you're trying to go? You're trying to
I'm
go?
trying to, yeah, we'll see.
Try, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, good committee. I've learned a lot. Maybe I'll still be here, we'll see. So now we've got all this,
This is what it is.
do we have any more business?
So that's what.
Should we adjourn the meeting?
That's
Or we,
what should test.
do we need to set a date? We don't set a date.
Nope, we don't need to set a date.
That's it?
No, let's just
Motion
stop.
to adjourn?
Okay, good.
We're adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
So he's saying that's what.
This is,
So Steph, were you asking me, we're staying on the committee or just Sue?
Sue Ellen, the councillors put the names forward to what committees they want to be on. But there were some gaps, so I said to Hope, well, what do we do with those? And they kept
So did
assigned to
no one put
committees.
their name
So
forward?
I think, pardon?
Did no one
I
put
just
their
had to
name
turn the
forward
camera
for our
off quickly.
committee?
I just, sorry for